Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Yes, I'm returning to making videos, and what a day to make videos. Today is the spring equinox, so I thought it was a good time, an auspicious time to return. I also think it would be a good idea to start this off with the peace chant, right? Who doesn't love peace? I know I do. I'm a fan. So, how about we try that? So, here we go. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now, what does that mean? It means, well, the first line is, lead us from the unreal to the real. Very important. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. I think that's a good way to start. Speaking of good ways to start, I have a bloggeroonie, and I thought what I would do, because my blog starts kind of at the beginning. We can do kind of story time here with ye olde friar, and I can kind of read and maybe expound upon my first blog post, which I gussied up for just this occasion. So it is entitled Friar ? Yes, Friar, and it is an attempt to answer why on earth I decided to call myself Friar. So I will answer. My full magical motto name, is Friar P.E.S.E.L Parvagradus. However you want to do the Latin, it's fine. And people are like, oh, P.E.S.E.L. It doesn't matter. You can pronounce that any way you want to. But yeah, let's go into the friar part here. Look at all this. Oh, the words. So I have here a nice picture of Saint Francis of Assisi, and he's being attended to by the, these little tubby cherubs. It's nice. I like it. Yes, Friar, I should explain. So, my origin story in brief. About 8 years ago, give or take, I decided to go all in on being a student of the mysteries, the Western esoteric kind. I suspect I'm not alone in saying that it was a life crisis of galactic proportions that set this off. I was definitely code black, and honestly, I had very little left to lose. My life as I knew it had been deteriorating steadily, and my big idea to fix everything with the perfect relationship failed so spectacularly and thoroughly that it is very nearly comical in retrospect, and that is true. I think I was like in full-on midlife crisis, like you do, and everything looked like an irredeemable tragedy, as the Jungians would say, and it was all kind of falling apart. My life was definitely falling apart. I was failing horribly in my IT career, and plagued by anxiety and depression. And I'm not going to say that that's all over with, right? But it was really bad. So yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a really successful relationship, unlike the crappy ones I've had. And that's going to fix my life. And it really didn't. In fact, it just kind of finished the process of destroying my life. So there I was. Okay, so prior to that, over the years, I knew that there was something to spirituality, to the occult. However, I was only tenuously grasping at pieces of it. Things like New Thought, the Kabbalion, which at the time, the Kabbalion was like, oh my God, secret knowledge forbidden. I'm going to burn. Abraham Hicks, and that was a good choice. I'm not sure I agree with every last iota of Abraham Hicks dogma or whatever that seems to have become a belief system unto itself, but at the time I was really suffering, and a friend of mine, she was like, well, what do you want? I said, oh, God, I just want to feel better. And she said, okay, well, listen to this. And it was Abraham Hicks, and it was, I think it was the right medicine at the time. Who else? Neville Goddard. Yeah, also pretty cool. I know that people have problems with these, Joseph Murphy, another good one. They both were students. Neville Goddard and Joseph Murphy were both students of Abdullah, the Ethiopian Kabbalist, which makes sense now in retrospect. Also, Neville Goddard was friends with Israel Regardie. They were both in the army together. And Neville Goddard tells a story about when they were in the army together, and I think another story about when they hung out later. And although people seem to think there's some kind of crazy animosity between the two, I don't see it that way. Israel Regardie was just very, he's very picky about what he will and won't do, and Neville kind of thought he was a stick in the mud and wouldn't really let himself have mystical experiences. But anywho, that's where I started. And I remember like the Kabbalion was just like, oh my God, I'm cracking open the secrets of the, whatever. That wasn't really the case. Although the Kabbalion is good. I've come to terms with it. It's not a bad place to start, I promise. So yeah, here I have on screen, as you probably have noticed by now, I've got, this is a Masonic chart. I think it's a tracing board, and it's got all kinds of wacky shit on it. And if you're coming to this without knowing anything about the occult, this is just nonsense. Like, I don't know what's going on here, but I've come to realize that, these tracing boards are reminding people this is a storytelling device and a way to get people to remember important esoteric things. And now it makes some sense. I'm not going to say I understand it all, but some of it is like very recognizable. So, but at the time, like, this stuff was compelling, but it was frightening all at the same time, right? So I'll continue my little storytelling. Over the decades, I'd always been fascinated by alchemical symbols, occult symbols, Masonic symbols. They all seem to carry an immense psychic weight, full of meaning and power, but impossible to decode from the outside. A larger, more comprehensive understanding seemed beyond my grasp. I had also been reliably informed, and that's in quotations because clearly it was not reliable, nor was it good information. I had also been reliably informed that such things were evil and to be avoided, lest I subject my immortal soul to eternal torture from a loving God. Yet another thing that I'll never understand is this whole, like, God loves you so much, and yet he will make sure that you are punished unless you do what we say. Like, somehow we are the arbiters of God. But that's a story for a different day. However, my curiosity finally won out because I really didn't have much left to lose, and that is true. I was determined to find answers. Okay, I pulled up a pic now. Those of you who are well-versed in Kabbalah, Tree of Life, this pattern might look familiar to you. That's why I chose it. Here we have good old Jesus. He's in the middle here, and he's surrounded by this interesting pattern. Very interesting. Zir and pin, perhaps. So, looking for a safe entry point into this world, and by this I mean the occult world, I decided that I wanted to better understand Jesus, but absolutely not in the usual sense. Right? This seemed like, everybody likes Jesus, more or less. Not maybe everybody, but probably the least controversial figure, or one of them. I know some people have beef. It's all right. I just didn't want, like, the Jesus that I had been handed in the churches that I had been involved in, had suffered under their tender mercies, I'd been through the ringer with Southern Protestant fundamentalism and had been pretty mangled in the process. No, I wanted something better. I realized that Jesus was, in truth, an esoteric Jew. Therefore, I wanted to understand esoteric Judaism, and the first thing I discovered was something called Kabbalah. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but I've heard it pronounced Kabbalah, 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 just by, rabbis and laypersons alike. So we'll just have to let, I say Kabbalah. It's fine, right? It's fine. But yeah, Google kind of dropped that on me, and I was like, okay. And so I found the YouTube channel Mind and Magic, wherein the mysterious host, he calls himself Frater Xavier. It's, again with the Latin, I would say frater, but, he likes to say freighter, like a boat, I guess. Frater Xavier recommended an esoteric system from a book by Liam Thomas Christopher, who, in fact, has a YouTube channel, and I would recommend, if you're interested in this stuff, eat that up, man. Like, you can watch Frater Xavier if you like. His earlier stuff is arguably better. It's less infomercially. But his teacher was Liam Thomas Christopher, so I strongly recommend that you binge watch that dude. His book's called Kabbalah, Magic, and the Great Work of Self-Transformation, and I found this book much to my eternal gratitude, while in truth more Kabbalistic with a Q. So I'm saying Quabba because it really would be Kabbalistic. While in truth more Kabbalistic than Kabbalistic, it nonetheless did provide a system that cracked the code and allowed my own self-paced education and thereby self-transformation to begin. So Kabbalah with a Q is going to be your Hermetic Kabbalah, somewhat detached from things like Lurianic Kabbalah, more kosher Kabbalah, if you will, which is generally spelled with a K. But I also find a lot of wisdom in the kosher Kabbalah too. When you do, as I think people do when they're interested in this stuff, you tend to study, start to get hungry for knowledge, and I tend to try to go back to original source material or as close as I can get, and I got a lot out of it. So, a wise prerequisite here is the title of this section. This is a tree of life here, and it's got all kinds of correspondences and stuff on it. It's super spooky looking, right? Oh, OMG, I'm so scared. Look at all those demons. Oh, I'm gonna burn for this one. No. This esoteric system asks much of the student, and one of the first tasks is to create a magical motto, which is basically one's new magical name, preferably one that holds some significance to the student, and traditionally is expressed in Latin or some other ancient language to convey the solemn gravitas imparted by antiquity. In other words, if you sound like an old wizard, like, oh, you got to do some old wizard name, and then it, now it's very serious, and it puts you in a serious mindset because this is all very serious, and we cannot have any fun at all. No, that's not true, but there is kind of a serious nature to a lot of this, and it helps to take it seriously, right? Because there's a lot of discipline involved. Frater Xavier, Frater Xavier, I don't know how I pronounce that second part. Frater Xavier is one such name, and there are easily many thousands of fraters and sorors, which means brothers and sisters in Latin, within the Western esoteric community. So I decided to be a bit different, maybe stand out a little bit, not get lost in a sea of fraters. I considered the French frère or the Swedish bror, but the term friar had a friendly ring. Because I don't know. I think about Friar Tuck, and especially the Disney version, right? So that's friendly. That brings some cheer to the proceedings. So friar had a friendly ring and was derived from the same root word structure, right? So friar it was and remains. No disrespect intended. Look at this guy. I just like the picture, right? Kind of spooky, kind of, old, and, again, imparting that gravitas. Oh, so very important. So very important. I must stress that I do not wish to insult anyone for whom Friar is an earned honorific. And if I have any regret about my choice, it is derived from that idea. I was not accepted into any group. Well, okay. At the time I wrote this, that was true. I actually have an ordination now, but I mean, it's not exactly like it was hard to get. This is like easy peasy, 1, 2, 3Z. Click here, give us your name. Now you're ordained. Hooray. And I did that for reasons. But, you know, I'm not a monk in an order hanging out in a castle copying the Bible by hand or anything, right? It's just me here chilling in my room at my desk with this stuff. I was not accepted into any group. I have earned no title. This was a name I chose by myself, for better or for worse. I'm keeping it though. I kind of like it. So anyway, this is just an intro video saying hey to my peeps. I'm sorry that I've been away for so long. It was good for me to be away for so long because I developed and changed, and I found some super important pieces of esotericism and philosophy and all that, you know, crazy bundle of things that we call the Western esoteric tradition. And I found them, believe it or not, through sort of a back door of studying Advaita Vedanta, and I came to realize that, okay, we're all talking about the same thing here. So my attitude and approach has changed somewhat, but I still definitely value the Western esoteric tradition in terms of its ability to convey ideas to you, like the smaller ideas, the more granular aspects in aggregate, and the stories. I mean, I didn't grow up in India. I grew up here, and so a lot of the symbolism is, of course, Western and does its job, but I do sort of have an Eastern final understanding, if you will, right? So, thanks for being patient and staying subscribed. OMG, please stay subscribed. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe to this video. And if you don't like it, you can click off. Anyway, hey, you know what? You can make comments in the comment section too if you want. Like, have you ever found yourself in a place in life where you're ready to make a major change? Probably. Was it driven by a crisis? I would assume probably, yeah. Did it cause you to make a change for the better? I hope so. Let me know in the comments. And oh, look at the pretty water and the sunset. Or is that a sunrise? I don't know. I'm going to call it a sunset. And of course, I have my shiny new Friar P.E.S.E.L logo there at the bottom. So I need to make that change across my socials. I do have an Instagram. It's privated. That does not mean you can't, you know, ask to, what is it? I'm not hip with the cool lingo anymore. On Instagram, you follow. Is that what you do? So yeah, you can just find me on Instagram and be like, hey, I want to see your stuff. And I'll probably say yes, unless your handle is something like, you know, something awful like Stalker 666. I'll be like, no, I don't think I want to be stalked, actually. I've gotten some weird ones. And of course, you know, models, right? Models in air quotes. People who are definitely not, you know, from a third world country that want to empty my bank account or anything. So yeah, if you don't seem too suspicious, I'll probably let you see my stuff, and then you'll be incredibly bored because you'll be like, dude, you just post about Krishna and funny stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's what I do because it cheers me up. So if you're into that, then yeah, hit me up on the IGs. Anyway, this video is probably considerably longer than it ever needed to be, but thank you for sitting through it, and I'm going to come up with a publishing schedule probably every 2 weeks. I'd like to do it on Wednesday. I'd like to do it on the day of Mercury, on the hour of Mercury, but I don't want to interfere with a friend's live streams. The Sumerian astrology live streams happen on the day of Mercury, on the hour of Mercury, or at least like the hour that happens around noon. So I may have to either do the early morning post or figure something else out. But anyway, this is not going to be my regular day and time. But anywho, so yeah, I really am going to do some more videos, and yes, they're going to probably look like this. I'm not going to edit them. I'm just going to sit here and do screen cap reading time. Speaking of, I'm glad I thought of this. This is my website, if you will. It's a WordPress, friarp.wordpress.com. This is the services. Yes, I am offering services, one-on-one consulting. If you want to book time with me, you can do that. My primary service, though, is deep listening. This is a very magical service, I promise you. But it's not scary, but it is transformative. So if you want to hit me up for that, I do also spiritual coaching, but that's only for people who've gone through deep listening. Planetary magic, yep, again, only available to people who have gone through the deep listening, because you might not need magic once that's all said and done. The magic is only just sort of a tailwind to have you achieve the things that you might have discovered that you need in the deep listening sessions. So, anywho, thank you again. Oh, gee whiz. Thanks for listening to me ramble and in my goofy ass way. And seriously, for the people who stuck around this long, not only in the video, but who have remained subscribed, I do appreciate it. So y'all take care, and I will see you next time. Peace, peace, peace.